I can send it out to people who are unable to join live. But the idea is the first 30 minutes will focus on awe and wonder. So I've chosen a spiritual practice over the last few months. This one is awe and wonder. And then after the first 30 minutes, then I will shift into what's called an aroma freedom reset. And that'll give you an opportunity to sort of take what you've just learned, sort of combine it with what your goals are for the month, and really start to look at what blocks are getting in your way to experiencing a breakthrough or achievement of that goal or vision that you have. So without further ado, let me start my presentation so that you can learn a little bit about me, as well as begin to understand what this whole concept is of awe and wonder. So let me just go back. Hold on just a second. Oops, stop share. Need to go over here. I accidentally bumped somebody out, so hopefully they'll come back. Let me go back to the very beginning of this presentation so you don't see anything first. Okay. All right, admit, share. All right, I think we're all here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you join. A little bit about me as we get started tonight. First of all, I am a teacher by trade, so this is in my wheelhouse. That's what I studied in college. I've been an essential oil enthusiast since 2007. I also became a health and business coach with Living Well Now, the company that my family founded in 2012. And I started to work towards spiritual direction and coaching since 2016. I've presented locally and nationally, and I'm remarried after a divorce 12 years ago. We have 4 teens together, and currently my journey is one of grief. My mom passed away in November of 2022, and that was a huge blow to all of us. My family is very close. And so out of that comes ashes, or comes beauty, right? Out of the ashes comes beauty. And so I'm trying and choosing to move through that growth by offering out my best gifts and skills, things that she taught me about being a woman, about being spiritual, about being smart, things that I want to impart to women in my life now. A quick disclaimer, I am a certified aroma freedom practitioner, a spiritual life coach. Our oils community was founded to help teach each family to be empowered in their own wellness journey. I'm also here to also say that the information tonight is not intended for treatment or prevention of disease, nor as a substitute for medical treatment or an alternative to medical advice. So if we get in touch with something today that really touches you, or you feel very moved by, I would just encourage you to seek professional support or guidance if you don't have that already. But also know that these are resources that you can access just about anytime, anywhere. All right, so without further ado, let me see if I can put my, let's see, can I pin myself? Can you guys still see the screen if I do it like this? Can you still see the presentation? I want to make sure you can see the presentation. Okay, good. All right, so moving right along. Oops, it's no surprise to anybody that the concrete jungles that we currently surround ourselves with can lead to a lot of indifference, feeling listless, blasé, detached. Some people are struggling with insomnia, perhaps overload of technology. And I believe that those things, that indifference is the contrast to what I want to talk about tonight, which is wonder. We can never be astonished, awestruck, or surprised when we are either overwhelmed or underwhelmed. So feeling the first, we don't notice subtle blessings in our surroundings. We don't necessarily take the time to stop and smell the roses. If we're underwhelmed, we couldn't care less, right? We've just become indifferent or apathetic to the world around us. So we end up saying things like, so what, who cares? Instead of, wow, aha, how can I be curious about this? So staying in a state of wonder is an antidote to both conditions. And this spiritual practice spices up our life with a constant parade of new delights. Most glorious of all, it enhances our understanding of sensuality, that elixir that keeps us feeling forever young in spirit. I'm going to play this video for you. I just thought it was beautiful, not very long, just a beautiful practice of paying attention to our senses, coming alive in our imagination and flourishing in adoration of the divine. It arises from our natural curiosity about the grand adventure of life. It increases our capacity to be a bold inner space tripper and an avid explorer of the physical world. There's no end to the things that awaken our wonder. And I'd love if you're available to write in the chat, what are things that are awakening your wonder? Is it majesty of the night sky? Is it the smell of lilacs in the spring? Is it noticing the changing of the color of the leaves in the fall? What are the things that strike you that really awaken your wonder to the world around you? In some of the latest research from 2019, as an example, the current weekly recommendation for American adults is at least 150 minutes of moderate activity, 75 minutes of vigorous activity, or some combination of the two. Now, I will also say that the 2019 study fed back that only not even having to be active, but spending time outside at least 120 minutes a week is associated with good health and well-being. People who spent 2 hours a week outdoors reported feeling healthier than people who didn't get out at all. 5 hours outdoors, though, yielded little added benefit. So if you don't have 5 hours, no big deal. If you have 2, that's kind of the sweet spot. A growing body of epidemiological evidence indicates that greater exposure to or contact with your natural environment, like parks, mountains, woodlands, beaches, is associated with better health and well-being, at least among populations in high-income, largely urbanized societies, which I happen to live in here in the suburbs in Phoenix. While the quantity and quality of evidence varies across outcomes, living in greener urban areas is associated with lower probabilities of cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, asthma hospitalizations, mental distress, and ultimately mortality among adults, and lower risks of obesity and myopia in children. So Dr. Matthew P. White, an environmental psychologist at the University of Exeter Medical School, says, nature is not like a pill you get prescribed by your doctor that you have to take in small doses every day. What matters most is that you're able to fit it into your lifestyle. And actually, I read in several of the reports about this study that as a result of some of what they're finding out, places around the world are literally allowing doctors to prescribe outdoor activity. And so, for instance, on the East Coast here in the US, you can actually take a doctor's note to a national park and get free entry because the doctor says it would be good for your health. There's also outdoor, more green spaces and parks going in places around the world, offering people a chance to access the outdoor environment and get out of those concrete jungles. So I just love thinking about how the more we kind of ready ourselves for being outdoors, the better benefits that we experience. But we also recognize that sometimes people can't get outside. And so even curating some nature video or photography can be really life-changing. If you can't get outside because of mobility issues or access issues, opening the windows of your home and experiencing nature in its purest form is a good substitute. You can also use some of these suggestions that I researched. So filmmaker Craig Foster released My Octopus Teacher. It's available on Netflix. You can go grab that. It's streaming there. Anything by Sir David Attenborough, including his Blue Planet 2 movie that he created about the ocean. Even March of the Penguins from back in 2005. Those are all videos, nature videos that can be very calming and productive for experiencing that if you're limited in your inability to go outside. I also linked this in the event on Facebook. Let's see if I can click through to it. I don't know how to do that actually, because that doesn't let me do it. Let's see. This DeWitt Jones, National Geographic photographer, if you search on YouTube or on the TEDx link, he actually did an amazing, very inspirational talk called Celebrate What's Right with the World. And I highly recommend that you add it to your viewing list for this weekend because it is just inspirational and majestic and awe-striking, the photography that he's been able to do and how he translates that into a positive mental attitude and outlook in life. Celebrate what's right with the world. So definitely check that out when you get a chance. So as I was preparing for tonight's presentation, I like to make things really simple. So these are 5 steps that you can take to engage in awe and wonder. So you can take a picture of this. I've posted it in a couple different places already, but please share this widely because I think these 5 things are something that I'm committed to this month for myself as I reset my own sort of barometer for the fall that's to come, kind of slowing down from summer travels. The kids are back in school and finding routines. So these are 5 things that you can do to engage in awe and wonder, and I'm going to go through each of them now. Get outside, number 1. Number 2, acknowledge the beauty of an ordered creation. I'll talk about what that means. Number 3, recognize your humanness. Number 4, use your senses. And number 5, capture the moment. Research shows that awe experiences can lead to the sense of a small or vanishing self, a state in which your sense of being distinct, independent, and in control recedes, and you feel part of something larger. So this is a great way. Awe and wonder are a powerful antidote to isolation and loneliness. So if you're experiencing those things, you can counter the feeling while acting alone that we solve all of our problems and control our environment by shifting our experience just by choosing to intentionally engage in awe and wonder. And we start to see ourselves as part of a bigger picture. I love this quote from Abraham Joshua Heschel. He's a rabbi, was a rabbi. He said, our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed. So seeking awe and intentionally looking for awe and wonder is a spiritual practice. So intend to experience a sense of wonder in what you will encounter. How are you staying curious to the moment? It could be a baby's laughter in the grocery line ahead of you. It might be noticing, I was walking last week past a rose bush and I stopped and took a smell of it. Didn't smell, it's kind of hot in the desert, so we don't have a lot of scented roses at the moment. Or perhaps it's observing that you are breathing without a lot of conscious effort on your own part. So just bringing attention back to your breath. But this is what I meant by acknowledge creation. Awe is miracles are everywhere. Nothing keeps us awake and connected. Noticing keeps us awake and connected to the pulse of life. So if we can experience our creator, or as some call the creator God, or our divine source, as good, life as ordered, and the spiritual life as a predictable and progressive movement toward greater clarity and peace, then we find calm in the natural order of things. So for instance, in Psalm 1:3, the psalmist writes, that person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. So likening us almost to that Garden of Eden from Genesis, where we are fully aligned, planted as a tree would be planted, soaking in the water to our roots, lifting our branches high, blooming, blossoming, kind of spreading our wings. Those are how we acknowledge that something or someone created us and everything that we are, that we breathe, and that we do. So let's talk about why we set an intention then. The Hebrew word for intention is kavanah. It also means setting a direction of your heart. In Jewish mysticism, when we set a kavanah, we also engage levels of consciousness that can bring us closer to the divine. So by acknowledging that what we're experiencing comes from something that only has our best interest in mind and isn't there intending to hurt or harm us, that in and of itself, and acknowledging the creator and acknowledging the creation, those things bring us joy. And I'll just add that part of my Christian understanding of this is that we aren't celebrating what we are doing or what we see with our visible eyes, but we are being grateful to the creator of those things. And we are bringing glory to a God who makes all things new. So if that helps your perspective on building out that spiritual practice of awe and wonder, to acknowledge creation, or setting an intention to be closer to the divine, those are things that can set your feet upon a path of clarity and truth. It's also important to recognize our own humanness in that. I am not God. I cannot control the temperature. I cannot control the heat here in the desert, even though I would like to flip a switch and make it fall. I can only control my response to it. So the fact that it was 74 degrees when I woke up this morning meant I went outside and enjoyed a fresh, brisk morning walk. As the author of the Tao Te Ching advised in the 6th century BCE, if you want to become full, let yourself be empty. So 20 years of research on the emotion of awe reveals many unique positive effects. For example, awe takes the focus off of ourselves, humbling us in the presence of something beyond us. Physiologically, awe can bring tears to our eyes. And I'd love to know if any of these resonate with you. Has awe or wonder ever brought tears to your eyes, chills or goosebumps or angel bumps along your skin, or a shiver down your spine? More broadly, awe promotes well-being and interpersonal connection. It may even decrease the body's inflammatory responses. Just living in awe and wonder. So in research, I found some really good information by Dr. Kelton Dosher. And Dr. Dosher describes 8 common sources of everyday wonder, any of which could spark transformative change. So these sources include exposure to lives and acts of moral beauty, the collective effervescence of big events, rallies, and ceremonies, various features of the natural world, music, visual design, great mysteries that often underlie religion and spirituality, the beginning and end of life, and ideas and truths that stretch our minds beyond what we previously believed was possible. So let's break that down. And the last one then is number 8, big ideas. So let's break it down real quickly. Okay. Number 1, moral beauty. So moral beauty are from moments when exceptional virtue, character, and ability are evident. So consider, these are wonders to consider if you're feeling like you don't have like you've done the outside thing, you've done the acknowledgement of God thing. And so now you're like, what else is there? Consider these 8 as wonders. Consider people who inspire you through their acts of courage and determination, maintain dignity and integrity when facing great challenges, or achieving the highest levels of performance through a blend of hard work and ability. So who comes to mind that would be a representation to you of someone with moral beauty? And how is that reflective of being in awe of someone who could persevere through such hardship? Number 2 is collective effervescence. This is when you there's created a force that merges a group of people into a collective self. So collective meaning people who are walking around a busy city. So if you're walking around a busy city, notice how your movements become synchronized with groups of people. You all cross the crosswalk at the same time. You all have a similar rhythm of coming into a gym or leaving the gym. That was my experience this morning. Perhaps there's like a swaying that you do when you are speaking with somebody. You may create some of that movement. You can also recall your attendance at a live event, such as a concert or play. So when everybody applauds or when everybody's cheering, there's also a wonder in experiencing collective effervescence. Number 3 is nature. When you step outside, and we already talked about this, and look at the sky, a sunset, trees, or cloud, these are ways that you are engaging with sight and sound. When you listen to a piece of music that resonated deeply with you when you were younger, and then you start to contemplate what it means to you, like what was it about this song? Was it a memory associated with the dancing? Was it a memory of the lyrics? Was it something that your mother sang to you? What's the music have to do with it? Be in wonder of the music, be curious. Number 5, visual design. When you regard a work of art, which could be a painting, a building, architecturally, a film, or even the striking patterns in a cell viewed under a microscope that has particular significance or that you simply find to be beautiful. How does the viewing of the work, the visual design, change or help you transcend the typical ways you perceive your life and the world around you? My mom was very inspired by Claude Monet because he didn't start his water lilies project until he was in his 60s or 70s. And so she was inspired by his ability to continue to create well past retirement age. So visual design led her down a path of enjoying water lilies and the Impressionism movement. Also, transcendence, spiritual, religious, and or a mystical experience that fosters a sense of meaning. So is there a force, a big idea or value that you care deeply about? How is it working in your life that has to do with maybe the environment or something bigger for the future, but an idea or a wonder of transcendence? Next is stories of life and death. When you think about changes in the life cycle, whether it's a human or a pet, or the ways that something is born and something grows and something dies, and you start to even encounter grief moments or loss moments, these are ways that we experience our mortality, but also embrace a wonder of what's it all for, right? Of life. And then last but not least, big ideas include philosophical insights, scientific discoveries, mathematical equations, systems thinking, or even personal realizations that all of a sudden you're like, aha, this makes so much sense. So how has a discovery or an insight changed your worldview or helped you grow in wisdom? I just loved the depth of that 8 wonders, because it's one thing to say, I experience awe when I see a sunset, which I kept my window open so that I could notice the sunset tonight. It's a whole other thing when I say, how am I encountering a piece of music or art or a philosophical idea that helps push me forward as something that I can be in awe and wonder of? Pretty cool, huh? So that was number 3. Number 4 is to use your senses to pray or engage with nature, personal objects, or everyday objects. Just a shout out to the author, Kelton, I think is her last name. What did I do with that book? I was using it yesterday to prepare. I set it over here. Finley, Kathleen Finley. I wanted to be able to show it to you. I've had this book for a really long time. I was a worship coordinator in a Christian church here in Peoria for off and on 10 years. And this was one of my favorite books to help people do experiential praying. So it's divided into these 3 sections: nature, personal objects, and everyday objects. But it's a great resource if you want to pick it up. It's available on Amazon. The author again is Kathleen Finley. For me, hiking has become a spiritual practice of sorts. Besides helping me learn how to better trust myself, others, and God, it also grounds me in the present moment. When I'm on the mountain, I'm not dwelling in the past or considering my future. I'm talking a lot, but I'm also in the moment doing my work and on the hike. There's only this moment right now. I'm learning to ground myself in the present moment, and that's been key to developing a relationship with my creator, God, that involves spending time with God in the everyday moments of life. So you can use some of these ideas, because many spiritual people believe all that inspires awe and wonder in this world does so because it was created by God. Remember, like I said earlier, we don't just worship nature, we worship the one who created it. And so then when we take time to really examine God's creation, then we're even more humble in our understanding of awe and wonder. So for example, one of the prayers in here is about soil or dirt and being grounded in love. So there's a centering prayer, a way to savor the soil, like to pick it up and hold it in your hands and use your senses, to touch it, to smell it, to see it, and then listen to some of the scripture that is in it, that's in this text, and then consider things about soil, like how varied it is, how it's not the same in Colorado as it is in Arizona, how soil for a garden is different than soil for xeriscaping a cactus, right? And then how are we responding to what we've learned and moving through the awe and wonder by those tangible expectations. I think that's why, like when I was in Sedona 2 weeks ago and I found a heart-shaped rock, I was super touched and moved by seeing it on the ground. I picked it up and I kind of cradled it in my hands. And as I carried it, I knew it wasn't something I was going to take with me. And so I found the perfect place to sort of place it on another rock stack and inside of a bigger heart. And that was a meaningful moment of awe and wonder for myself. And it gave me commune with my mom, who had recently passed, and just sort of that ethereal way of connecting with somebody who's no longer on the earth. It's very tangible, for example. And then the last one that I wanted to put before you today is capturing the moment. The quote says, and this is a definition of awe and wonder from the book Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. It's credited to researchers Ulrich Weger probably, and Johann Wagerman in Brené's book Atlas of the Heart. So Dr. Brené Brown wrote a book called Atlas of the Heart. It's really powerful. It's one that I keep I keep on my shelf to be able to reference often. But she said this: wonder inspires the wish to understand. Awe inspires the wish to let it shine, to acknowledge and to unite. When feeling awe, we tend to simply stand back and observe, to provide a stage for the phenomenon to shine. So cultivating awe and wonder is also shown by research to increase compassion, kindness, generosity, and perseverance, and to improve one's mood. It's an uplifting and refreshing way to connect with God and a spiritual practice that can ultimately help us live out our purpose within our communities. What I love in experiencing awe and wonder is the humbleness that I find. So how can you capture that moment? Sometimes we say we take too many pictures of things, right? And we want to snap photos of every little thing. And maybe sometimes it's just a mental photo that we're taking. But is there another way to capture the moment so that you can revisit that memory another time? Is it through photography? Is it through a journal entry? Is it through a post on Facebook or social media? Is it through a video that you capture? My dad took a video of me hiking in the Rocky Mountain National Park. I absolutely love mountains and streams. They are just a beautiful part of God's creation to me. And so he took this video and I said, what are you taking a photo of? He said, I saw how enraptured you were raptured you were with the surroundings. I wanted to capture that on video. And it was one of those special videos that I'll cherish now forever because it reminds me of that moment. Look, it even brought me to tears. So if that's, if there's a way that you can sort of take hold of a moment where you've experienced awe and wonder, where you've been quiet and provided the stage for the phenomenon to shine, those are the places that I want to encourage you this month in particular to really focus on what it looks like to be in awe and wonder. So that's the first half of my presentation that I prepared for tonight. I had so much fun putting that together. We're going to continue to study that in our soul care sanctuary throughout the month of September. And just look for ways that we can experience awe and wonder in all of those categories and sort of celebrate those. So for those of you who are already in the group, you'll know on our Fridays care circles, our 2 Fridays a month that we do care circle, that's what we'll be coming back around to really sort of hone in on, are we noticing? Are we getting outside? Are we capturing the moment? How are we recognizing and lifting up the things that that are really bringing us joy? So, and that are expressing awe and wonder for what has been created for us to enjoy. Yay. Awesome. Okay. So shifting gears a little bit, those of you who are oily and have your oils with you, we're going to shift for the last 30 minutes to talk about listening to our inner wisdom. So, so for those of you who don't know, a lot of you are part of our oily community. We've been using essential oils for like forever, 16 years, almost 17 years. I only know that because Dawson's 17, and that's about the time we all got started. And one of the things that I have found a lot of value in, that I want to continue to capture and send out to people, is the ability to shift spiritually and emotionally using the fragrances that we have in essential oils. Yes, there are other kinds of fragrances that are out there. Yes, there are definitely other kind of modalities that people use to kind of open their senses a little bit. But for me, essential oils has been the number one way that I've connected emotionally to my heart, mind, body, and spirit. So let's go back to the presentation. So that, and then we've got a couple other people joining. We're going to do what's called an aroma reset. So I'll set this up for everyone, but you want to have with you the oils of Stress Away, frankincense, and lavender if you have those. Stress Away is a proprietary blend from Young Living in particular, but frankincense and lavender obviously are sourced in multiple places. I really trust the Young Living brand, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the beginning of my next presentation. But I'm so glad that you all were on tonight. This is really special. Thanks for making this work. Okay, so bipping back to the presentation. Let's talk about listening for inner wisdom. So this is us boosting or resetting our aroma, or ourselves with aroma. So this is Dr. Perkis. I'm introducing him third party because he's the one who trained me as an aroma freedom practitioner. He's a clinical psychologist who's been in practice since I was in high school. Just kidding. I'm not going to be that mean. I've really been inspired by him. He was the first one I heard using joy oil with some of his clients who were feeling a lot of the blues. And I heard him speak right before I was going through my divorce, and I knew that I was going to need a lot of joy and a lot of valor to make it through a really difficult time. So when he stumbled upon this practice of aroma freedom, I was like, sign me up, I'm all in. So I've been a certified practitioner since getting trained in 2017, and I continue to have monthly sessions through our Soul Care Sanctuary, as well as offer one-on-one sessions with people as well. So I want to ask you, as you are getting quiet, and I promise I'll stop talking and give you a chance to be quiet. What would you say is your biggest roadblock at the moment? I mean, I know that we just talked about awe and wonder. It doesn't have to be connected to that. It could simply be something that is blocking you in another part of your life. It could be having to do with your career. It could be about a relationship or multiple relationships. Maybe it's a financial concern. Or a roadblock could be something related to your children or your parents. I'm in relationship with a lot of women right now who are kind of sandwiched between empty nesting and parents needing more support. And so I'm just as you're processing, maybe have a little note card with you or something that you can write down. What is your biggest roadblock at the moment? What would you say? And you don't need to put it in the chat if you choose to. We can sort of cheer you on and strategize with you, but mostly this is about you. So let's just be quiet for a minute while you get clear about your biggest roadblock. In some people might call this the thoughts that are blocking you, your negative thinking, your stinking thinking that's blocking you mentally from doing what you know you're supposed to do or created to do or should do. Consider your biggest roadblock. You can write a couple sentences to yourself about it. Give yourself just a couple minutes to breathe deeply. And then if you need to get a little bit more specific, we're going to go through each of these 6 steps really practically. Identify the situation. What's the roadblock? Is it overwhelming? Is it frustrating? Is it confusing? Is it debilitating? And then pick a feeling word, just one word that describes how you feel about the situation. You can move around the picture if you need to see the whole feelings wheel. This is one of my favorite examples of all the different feelings that are out there, because sometimes we only access 4 or 5 different types of feelings, but this one gets really specific. So get as specific as possible about what the feeling is about that roadblock or that negative thought. And then locate that feeling in your body. Maybe it's a sensation that you're having or a slumped posture, or it's impacting pain in your system somehow. Once you have the feeling and where you feel it in your body, then identify a negative thought that goes with it. I just don't understand my husband. I don't have enough time to make everyone happy. Whatever the negative thought is. So once you have all of those brought to mind, your situation, your feeling, where you feel that feeling in your body, and that negative thought, you're going to take the drops of frankincense, lavender, and stress away. And I make mine into a roller top so that I can just roll it on my palm. I cut my hands over my nose and mouth, making a scent tent. And a scent tent allows me to close my eyes and breathe the oils in, breathing them into the overwhelming problem, the roadblock, breathing it into the feeling, breathing it into the feeling in the body, breathing it into the negative thought that maybe I'm ruminating about. When you feel something shift physiologically, so perhaps your mind jumps to a solution or an insight that you hadn't considered before, maybe your breathing changes and feels deeper or more relaxed. Perhaps you're yawning through some of your feelings, perhaps tears have started. That's how you know when that quick reset has done its job. And then you decide what's next. Perhaps there's more to clear in the situation, and it could be beneficial to have a full aroma freedom session. We are going to go through the steps one more time to see if we can uncover any more feelings that you may not have considered before, to just see if we can shift some extra negative thoughts into more positive affirmations so that we give you a direction to take after we're concluded with our session tonight. If you feel like it's as far as it can be completed for now, you can go ahead and start making an action plan for yourself. And then as we come back all together, I'll help you clean up your action plan. But go back to that roadblock that you had. And then name the feeling that's still hanging out. Maybe it's a different feeling. Maybe it's a different category. Maybe instead of angry, maybe you started out feeling angry and you realize underneath anger is your fear or your sadness. And maybe it's really not anger, but it's loneliness or inadequacy or rejected. Name that feeling word and then locate the feeling in your body. Are you holding it in your stomach? Maybe you're having some stomach issues as a result. Maybe in the heaviness of your heart. Maybe it's weighing on your shoulders. And then identify the negative thought. A negative thought that goes with the situation, that goes with the feeling, that goes with the feeling in your body. You can write those down and then take a drop each of Stress Away, frankincense, and lavender. You can also switch it up if something else is calling your name at this point. Maybe it's Release Oil, which is a proprietary blend from Young Living. I love those unique exclusive blends for this work. But put a drop in your hand, cover your nose and mouth with your scent tint, and just breathe in the oil. You can do this process again as many times as you'd like on a daily basis. It doesn't have to just be once a month. Aroma Freedom is intended to take one particular issue that's blocking you and have you work through it 3 different rounds or 4 different rounds to help you kind of come out on the other side and leave behind old patterns based on stimuli that aren't there anymore. So your memories. So in this aroma reset or in an aroma boost, which I offer sometimes, the aroma reset gives you the opportunity to just sort of shift your mindset. So you can take a thought model of where you're getting kind of hung up and stuck and walk through it with your guidance, and then use your oil to just completely clean it out. So if that was effective for you, I'd love to hear in the chat what you experienced through the reset. We're going to move to the next part of the presentation, which is about what comes next, and that is taking action. Because it's one thing to just experience a release of some kind, like I said, tears, yawns, physiologically feeling better, lighter. A lot of people say that they feel more clarity after going through an aroma reset, and it gives them the motivation that they need to complete this next step. But let's take action together. Does it mean that you are going to create an affirmation, or is it going to be some sort of checklist or task list that you set for yourself to get done in the next 24 hours? Create some sort of visual representation. You can write an affirmation. You can jot some notes down. It's always better if we think in ink, right? Like sometimes just getting those words out can be so clarifying for our decision making. And then what we're going to do is we're going to anchor it in using an oil and a power pose. So a power pose looks like one of these, and that experience is, got a traffic jam on my road, so I'm going to shut that. So a power pose is what Amy Cuddy, a researcher at Harvard, determined if you just stand in a power pose 2 minutes a day, it will shift your level of self-confidence. So we add power posing into an anchor essential oil in order to see results. So you can take an oil blend like Transformation, Believe is another good one, Northern Lights, Black Spruce, anything, Valor is a great one. And you're going to be taking whatever action that you just created, and we go into this in more detail in an Aroma Freedom session. You're going to take the oil. I just rub it up and down my arms and legs, right? Like just want to smell it, my hair. I just want to be, totally immersed in it. And this is my anchor oil. So every time I smell this oil, I think about how my feet are grounded and my arms are outstretched. And I've created an affirmation or an action step forward that is confident and leaves behind that idea that what I'm experiencing is a roadblock. I've seen my way through the roadblock, and I'm looking for solutions beyond the obvious. So whether you've received that solution, whether you've created that, whether you're in the process of creating it, because we only have a short bit of time tonight, embrace the power pose, embrace the anchor of the affirmation and the oil. Remember to breathe in this position as well, so that you're fully engaging your body, mind, and spirit. Committed to seeing the roadblock or the negative thought block through. Does that make sense? It's a pretty cool modality to be able to walk yourself through, like I said, on a daily basis. Now, the next piece after action is accountability. So tell a friend what you did tonight, maybe a trusted colleague, maybe if it had something to do with work, maybe a relationship. And you have people who are around you who are helping you be safe and that you can trust. Maybe you want to tell them about the work that you did tonight to repair that relationship. You may want to join an accountability group. That was part of the reason I set up our Soul Care Sanctuary, so people had a place to come back to month after month, to be reminded of their purpose, their vision, their divine wisdom each and every month. Maybe you need to time block your calendar so that you can prioritize that goal differently. Somehow chart your progress visually. You can use that on technology. You could also do it. I do it through Canva. I make a goal list every month, and then I print that out and put it inside my planner. So that way, then I can kind of check off that I'm, doing, having my movement, like daily movements. I'm drinking enough water. I have basic things on there, that I'm getting communication out to my various groups, and that I'm, I'm connecting with deeply with friends and other women that I'm meeting on the journey. Perhaps you want to hire a coach. And how are you going to celebrate those milestone accomplishments along the way? Those are all things, even though it seems like a simple roadblock that you worked on tonight, these are all things that will help you continue to kind of mow down that roadblock and keep the path of flow pushing your way forward. I know that when we are facing a journey that has lots of boulders and big things in our way, we feel like we can't make our way through it. But one step at a time. We don't eat an elephant all at once. We take bites. This is how we also are accountable for the things that are in our way at the moment. I also want to make sure you know that I'm a big proponent for grace. So C.S. Lewis once said, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So maybe something has led to this that has caused a lot of pain and hurt and frustration. And now you are making a shift and a conscious decision today that will impact the future as well. And of course, change is the only constant in life. So we'll have another round of this next month on the first Thursday of the month that you can come back and get a new spiritual technique to implement, as well as an aroma boost, an aroma reset to help you kick off your month. The other thing I've been doing on a regular basis is I've been collecting collages I've been making collages of photos that I use as the screensaver on my phone and on my computer, so that I'm reminded of the things that I want to prioritize in my life, good memories, present day, things that I'm focused on, so that I have a really clear sense of where I'm going month after month. I wasn't able to pull my stuff together long enough to make a vision board this year, so this is the best I've got. I call it micro planning. It's been really, really helpful for me, and it's something that I've been sharing out month after month as a strategy for other people who are in crisis or finding that it's just too much to take on more than a month or 3 months at a time. So hopefully that speaks to you as well, and I'm happy to send you that information. If you want to go deeper on some of what we've talked about tonight, I'm leading a retreat the end of October in Carlsbad, California. This is a photo of the backyard. I absolutely love this peaceful oasis, just a 7-minute walk from the beach. If you want more information, you can text the word retreat to my business line, which is 623-439-4910. And it'll send you the website and the information that you need to be part of the retreat in the end of next month. If you are interested in joining our Soul Care Sanctuary for an accountability group through these days and months and years, it is available on a monthly subscription basis. That QR code will take you right to the sign up link. Hopefully it works. I'm trying to get an annual subscription connected to it, and I was having some difficulty today. But if you get stuck at all, let me know. There is a coupon code for those people who are joining before the end of the year. The coupon code is monthly founder, and that'll give you $10 off per month. And then know that the third Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. I have a group Aroma Freedom session, and that is for a cost of $35. That's free to members of the Soul Care Sanctuary, but it is $35 for people who just want it a la carte. And then if you want to email me for solo Aroma Freedom sessions, I have packages that I can send you as well. All right, that's what I have. This is a little bit about oils. If you don't have oils, let me know and I'd love to hook you up. All 3 of the ones that I talked about tonight in the Aroma Reset are in our premium starter kit, and it comes with a diffuser and 12 oils plus a ton of samples and goodies. And I'd love to help you get started or talk to the person who invited you to tonight's class. It's also really simple to get started with the feelings kit. That's one of my brother's favorites and has another round of just incredible oil blends that Gary formulated that I'm still using to provide a sense of peace to my heart. All right. That's all I have for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, just ladies. Thanks for being on, and thanks. I hope it was inspiring and invigorating for you, and that it gives you kind of a good jump to your September. If you're not on my mailing list, let me know. I'd love to add you to that as well. So exciting to be on the journey with such beautiful women. Thanks for joining tonight.